To create a house, you want to start by making a box. Remember to double check that on Polygon Primitives, Interactive Creation is on, and then select your box. I chose to make mine in the front view, and you want to make it the size of one wall. Now remember that Maya defaults to centimeters, so when we look it up, we know that a wall is 8 feet typically. If you're doing a vaulted ceiling, it can be anywhere from 10 to 12 feet. But you would go 8 feet to centimeters, and it will tell you it's 243.84. We can go ahead and round that up to 244. If we wanted this to be 2 stories, we could round it up to 488. And then we probably want to add about 2 feet for each floor, for each actual floor. So we'll go ahead and with this box, go to Channel Box and set it up to 290, not 290, 490, 490, and scale out, created at the 0 origin. Now we're getting this interesting normal flip because this wall is so skinny it's having a hard time generating it. So I might bump that up to maybe 15 centimeters. And now we have a shape that's more solid. These two, because it's trying to show the lighting, and the lighting is overhead, appear black. But if we flip through this, we can see that all of our normals are correct. Now we can click on the object and hit F on our keyboard for focus. That will focus this in every view. And we could copy and paste these walls, but generally that will create a really unstable shape. If you remember our Play-Doh demo, we said you stick 2 pieces of Play-Doh together, they don't stick very well. But if you squeeze them until you make the 2 shapes out of one lump, it will stick together better, and the same thing is true in 3D modeling, unless you go through and weld all the vertices together. And we'll show you how to do that as well. So we want to go to the Modeling Toolkit and grab a tool called Multi-Cut. Now once you click on the object, you'll get this line. If you accidentally click, just undo it, because what we want is we want to hit Control on our keyboard and get a loop cut. We want to cut all the way around on both sides. Now this tool is a little interesting. It links on to the closest edge and makes a perpendicular line. So if we want an up and down cut, we want to cut up here. And if I looked at it and said, you know, my vertices aren't quite even, I can go to vertex mode, select all my vertex, and drag it over. I could also make box or measurement references if I wanted these to be the same size, or I could change the size of my grid and do a snap to function. So that's about right. And I can change it later if I want as well. From there, I want to select face and then shift select these 2 edge faces that I made by the cut. And then we're going to go to extrude. That will extrude these along a path. I can move the thickness and make a wall. I can also extrude these by using the Move tool. Now, to link these 2 walls together, I can once again go back to my multi-cut tool and do another control cut. Once again, keeping it square. I can guesstimate these, or I could use a measurement tool or a reference. But right now they're about the same size, and as I said, I can move my vertices afterwards if I want. Now at this point, I want to save this. Go, so we'll save over building demo 1. And once again, I went to project window to set up a building that I'm going to use in Unity. So always set your project folder at the beginning. If you haven't, go ahead and take a minute, do that now. From there, we'll go to Edge. Double check, okay. Then Faces. And I want to select this face, this little one right here, and delete it. I then want to select this other face and extrude. I've been working in this view, in the top view, or my orthographic, so that I can make sure I don't accidentally, grab it and morph it to somewhere where I think it's connected and then it's really not, or it's at a slight angle. So really looking at those top, front, and side is going to keep this straighter. From there, I'll go to vertex mode. Actually, forgot one step from there. I'll go to face and make sure I've deleted this little face right here. From there, I'll go to vertex mode and do a target weld from where I want it to start to where I want it to end. So I'll grab these open areas and drag it to that closed shape. And that's one way I can make these walls. The other thing I could do is I could go back to this face and delete it. And then grab the edge. I should be able to do is select this edge, double click, and it will do a ring selection or a loop. It will select all the way around. I make sure to select the same edge I started with over here by holding Shift, rolling over it, and double clicking on that. From there, I can use the bridge tool. I want to turn down the divisions so that I don't have a lot of extra parts. And now I have the base shape of my box. Both of these approaches work, but it's whichever one you're more comfortable with. From here, I can go to the top view and add a floor easily enough just by clicking the cube, dragging it out, and then dragging it up. I could either do that process again and move it up, or I could do a Shift D for duplicate, I can either make another one and drag it up, or do a Control D to make a copy of that object and drag it up. I think. Okay. And then if I turn on my wireframe by hitting 4, I should notice that I have a floor under here, I have a floor on top, and I have the basic structure for my house. You could also save this floor step until the last if you want to be able to see inside the box. So what I'm going to do is delete this one and leave my other floor. If I want to put in doors or if I want to put in windows, it's going to be very similar. I'm going to select my original shape, do some controls, Control Cut, and I'm just going to add those lines for where I want the doors and where I want the windows. Actually, do another one here. Now, I want to put all of my lines in. And even though it seems like I could cut out a door first, If I do that, I'll lose this ability to do loop selections. And if I wanted another window over here, I now have my guidelines, I could slice. Now I know it looks a little confusing, but if I go to face and select now, I can delete the spaces where I want the door. I can delete the spaces where I want the window. I can delete the other space where I want the window. Now, unfortunately, I've only cut the outside of the box, not the inside. So I'm going to have to go back to this multi-cut. Hold my control and cut these same lines, these same overlapping lines. Inside as well as outside. Same as over here. If I want them over here, actually they should have cut around there. And now, if I go to faces again, I can start deleting those out, and even though it looks like they're vanishing, they're actually not. If I put this back on shaded, which is a 5 or a 6, you'll see that now these have holes in them. If I need to adjust any of these edges, I can put my edge select back on, double click so it selects the whole loop around, and move. And then I could do the same thing I did where I double click on them, loop, shift loop again, and bridge. And if you notice, this is what happens if you don't select them in the right order, is you get this kind of curve. Sometimes, based on how you made your geometry or if it's flipped, you may need to just select those one at a time. So shift, shift, bridge, shift, shift, bridge, shift, shift, bridge, get this one up here, shift, shift, bridge, and you get the point. You would just bridge all of these over. Now, if you want to have a window, you would draw another box here and make it transparent. But the transparent textures in Maya don't go very easily to the transparencies in Unity, so I would save that step until you get it into Unity. So leave your doors and your windows open for right now. It's going to be another shift, shift, bridge. And I may want to move these. As you notice, if the edge flow isn't exact, it looks a little funny, but it will still work as long as the number of edges you have are constant. So if you're a perfectionist, you can go adjust all of these, and if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, then you can go ahead and just work with it. To do a roof, which will be your last step, so once again, after you cut out any windows that you would want on the second floor, you can do another control click right here, and another control click evenly in the back. And honestly, I would usually do this in the top view so that I make sure they really are even. I can right click vertex, bring them up. And then any of these points in my front view, I'll just drag them up to match the bend of the back roof. I could keep this little edge if I wanted. Or I could not. And once again, if it's not completely exact, it'll be all right because you're about to hide it by putting on a roof. See, wrong orientation. To reset my tool. So let me try that again. Draw it here, go up. There we go, that's working. Reset orientation, move it up. Just going to go ahead and rotate that until it matches the house. And then I could either do another, this is probably what I'll do. So I can do another multi-cut, Control, extrude it from that point so this stays one point, or I could just draw another roof tile.